And you're on.
Okay, it's late night from Willowdale, even though we're not from Willowdale, but we're close. 5 kilometers. But I had to do a video on Trump's visit to the Middle East. I was, this is something, I was so angry when I watched this coverage of his trip. Uh, this trip took place on the week he was in Saudi Arabia. Uh, the cradle of nuttiness, religious extremism, the cradle of ISIS, the cradle of the Taliban, the cradle of 9/11. He was in Saudi Arabia on the same weekend that Iran held a relatively fair and free election and that the moderate president Hassan Rouhani was reelected with 57% of the vote, and more than 70% of eligible Iranians voted in the election. And you think of the US election where barely 50% voted. So Iran had a relatively free and fair election, and Hassan Rouhani was reelected, a moderate. And with if you watch some of the network coverage or some of the television coverage, including CNN, you wouldn't even think it happened. And then you had Donald Trump and his presidential entourage in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, uh, and they had the temerity to lecture during all this stuff that was going on. They had the temerity to lecture Iran about human rights and aggression and proper international behavior and all of that, while they were sitting in the most repressive, most regressive country on the planet Earth, Saudi Arabia, a country where women still can't drive, a country where people are decapitated and beheaded for the most minor of crimes. People are lashed, and it's just a disgusting place, a really disgusting place. And they had the temerity, the American entourage, along with the Saudis, to lecture Iran. Okay, Iran is not a beacon of human rights. Lots of nasty stuff goes on there. Okay, I get it. I'm not, being an apologist for Iran, but they're actually in the Middle East and Central Asian region. They're probably one of the freer, more democratic countries, and women have rights. And yet they're constantly demonized, and it's disgusting. And it goes without comment generally in the media. Thank God the New York Times had a big piece on this in the front page today, in Monday's New York Times, saying, well, what a juxtaposition, what a dichotomy. You have Iran having a relatively free and fair election, Iranians are dancing in the street, and then you have Donald Trump uh, in Saudi Arabia, one of the most regressive countries on the planet Earth, lecturing Iran about human rights. And then he speaks on Sunday to this ghastly collection of thugs, potentates, dictators, and murderers that the Saudi king had assembled in Riyadh, and he's going on about again lecturing Iran and stuff, and going on about you should have freedom to live your lives and all that stuff, and we're not going to interfere. We don't give a damn about human rights, and you can continue killing and oppressing people. And of course, they're all cheering and laughing, and the whole thing is just disgusting. What a disgusting spectacle. And then it's actually treated like, oh, this is Trump's sobering moment. He's finally becoming an international statesman. Trump is one of them. He's a thug, a con man, and a crook. He doesn't have the same blood on his shoulders that these guys that he was talking to have. But yeah, what a disgusting spectacle. And what a hypocrisy. What hypocrisy, I just couldn't believe it. That's fake news. That's fake news. Just anyhow. What what can you say? I mean, the Iranian foreign minister had a great tweet. It was in the New York Times today. Yes, just saying, oh yeah, here's Trump lecturing us in the bastion of moderation, in the bastion of human rights and moderation. And I thought, yeah, absolutely, good for you for saying that. Anyways, uh, I could go on and on and on. I just needed a, you know, and now he's in Israel, and of course Netanyahu is all excited that he's there. He's almost gushing. Oh, Trump is in, and it's so disgusting. And Netanyahu's a disgusting human being, and oh, he's got our position on Iran, which is not based on any fact or rationale. But and of course, Netanyahu knows that Trump's not going to press him on human rights or the solution to the Palestinian issue or settlements or any of that. And the whole thing's a bloody mess. And I'm amazed. I'm happy that all these investigations are going on. I don't know if it's going to with Trump and the collusion. I don't know if it's going to amount to Watergate. Obstruction of justice is hard to prove. Impeachment is very difficult to get, especially when you have the two houses of Congress controlled by, it's basically a supplicant Congress, really ridiculous Republican, really disgusting group of Republicans who have no backbone. But we'll see where it all goes. There is something rotten in the state of the American democracy, no question. But I am stunned at the media and how they just sort of let Trump get away with this trip to one of the most vile countries in the world. And there's something positive happening with Iran. Like I said, Iran is not perfect. But I think for Canada, Trudeau, if he has any gumption, should take advantage of sort of the opening that's happening in Iran. Let's say the Iranian Spring, if you will. And let's make deals with Iran. They need airplanes. Bombardier is a company in crisis. We have lots of planes. Let's sell it to them. If the United States is going to turn its back on Iran, let's not do that. Trudeau should congratulate Rouhani on his victory. We need to take a more independent stance on foreign affairs, especially when you have this infantile idiot as president of the United States. Anyways, this is going to be a short video. I just had to, the world's a mess, and we had another nasty attack in Manchester tonight, and who knows who's responsible for that, but we can well imagine. I still say all roads, when it comes to religious extremism and violence, I say all roads lead to Riyadh. Saudi Arabia gets away with all this stuff. Most of the 9/11 hijackers came from Saudi Arabia. I can't believe that no country in the world should have diplomatic relations with Saudi Arabia. This is a medieval theocracy that nobody should want to even touch. I can't believe Canada sold arms to them. And I think this trip by Trump to Saudi Arabia was disgusting. And some people in the media have called him out on it, in the New York Times and whatever. But really, the world's a mess, and this trip exemplifies it. And who knows how long Trump's going to be president? I don't know. I'm going to end this video now because I have so much more to say, but the video's
oh shit! Sorry.
That's okay. We'll end it there. That's a perfect way to end it. Okay. Crap! That's a good way to end it. But I think that Trudeau should see the re-election of Rouhani in Iran as an opening. I think Canada should reopen its embassy, and let's sell them lots of stuff. That's what I said.
Okay.